Okay, see a lot of participants, but thank you everyone for jumping in early. We're going to have an exciting webinar today, but going to wait just a few more minutes to see if we have more participants joining to allow more people to see and hear everything just from the start. So thank you for your patience, and we'll start just in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Hope everybody I see Tomy and I see other people in cold weathers. I hope everybody's warm and cozy. Eric is suffering now, what, minus 30?
Not today. We are lucky today. We gained about 10 degrees at least from yesterday. So it's only minus 10 today.
And only minus 10. Okay, Tomy, you're the only one skiing, according to the view I see from your.
I'm not skiing in Israel today. It's a little bit cold, but you know, the weather in general in Israel is very warm.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, more people are joining in, so just a few more minutes, and then I'll just start. Okay, so Anna will take care of all the people who are joining, and let's start this webinar. First of all, thank you everybody for taking the time and join us for this excellent webinar. Joining us from many places around the world today, we have our amazing team on board. First, we have Yaniv, Lior, the CIO of iFOREX, which is a fintech company that we work with for a long time. Thank you for joining us. I have with me from Montreal, Mr. Eric Goff, our GM in North Canada, in Canada. I have Lavinia Rossi, Ms. Lavinia Rossi, our GM in Italy, and Mr. Tomy Caspi from Howden Insurance is the executive claim officer in Howden. And from around the world, we have people joining us from various locations. Very interesting. We have a European from the European Union. We have from Albania and from the Netherlands and from Germany and from Italy and from the UK. And I see other locations. So thank you very much for joining us. I think this is going to be a very interesting webinar. That's going to be sort of a conversation that I like to have after the end of every year. And 2025 was very, very interesting year for cyber crises. And I think that the most important things that we would like to see with this panel is, you know, the differences of what was so crazy about 2025 and what can we expect in 2026. And I think that the people around this room and the ones joining us listening to this webinar, definitely it's an important information that we should all have, understanding what is the scenarios, what is the atmosphere and the arena we are all working and operating under. And I'm really excited to start this. So 2025, I think that we can all agree, had huge implications. I mean, we had huge crises around the world. We all remember Salesforce, and we all remember Jaguar Land Rover, Marks and Spencer. These are huge crises to huge organizations. Some of them are still handling it, even if it's already a few months afterwards. And of course, in Code Blue, We managed in 2025 average of 1,500 hours a month of crisis, which is an enormous amount. It's a huge increase from 2024. A lot of it came from the insurance, and this is the reason why we asked Tomy to be here. And we definitely want to hear this panel perspective. So without further ado, I'm going to start, and I have a very interesting question. The first one is, what changed actually in 2025? And the question is, what is one of the major changes and observed in 2025 in the cyber threat or incident management that affect how organizations prepare for respond to these events globally? Yaniv, let's start with you. What do you as a global organization, what went different for you in 2025 in that perspective?
I think that first of all, thank you very much for being here. I think AI very simple because of the fact that AI threat more and more happened, and it's a very huge component in the threat in general. Because of that fact, the incident response must be faster. I think that in the past it should be faster, but today and in the future, because of the AI abilities that improve themselves more and more, the incident response should be faster and more professional. The strategy that support the internet strategy that support the IR inside the company should be faster. The timing, the key word is everything is more faster. Also the combination, because of the fact that the AI is better than human being, and maybe if in the past the attacker should be one or two, three persons, now the abilities are huge. The combination, for example, to do data breach and ransom or data leakage and DDoS, etc., create our life very complicated. Also, inside the company, the AI tools from the employees that using AI, they can cause us a data leakage, and data leakage will cause us a privacy incident, and privacy incident is the cousin of the IR incident. I think this is my main point.
I think that as a fintech company, you also have, you have to not only to respond, but there's a lot of private information, and I think this puts you in a very high alert the whole time, isn't it? 25 was different for you on that perspective, being on a high alert constantly.
As you mentioned, we are a fintech company. Because of that fact, we have customer details. This is our asset, the main asset, and it's not different this year than 2025. It's the same.
Interesting. Tomy, do you think, what do you see from the insurance perspective? Do you think that 2025 you see a huge increase? You see something different than other years that before?
I think first though, thank you for having me here. I think we see two main issues here in 2025, and the one that you already mentioned in the beginning is the supply chain. We see a lot of attacks involving supply chain and affecting many companies. You mentioned Salesforce, it's affected so many companies. And today, when you are approaching an insured company, you have to check in the beginning. You have to check who are the vendors, who are their so what is the supply chain? What kind of protections they have? What kind of insurance they have? How can it affect me as a company? We see many attacks that starts from the supply chain, from the vendor, and move to the insured company and affecting them deeply. And then you see that not only you are involved in the incident, you see other companies, other people are starting to get involved in your company and starting to get involved in the incident itself. And I think that one major thing that we want that our companies to prepare is to map what are the vendors, what kind of security is there, what are the protocols, what kind of an insurance does they have? Insurance to protect them, to help them, to assist them. And I think the second thing is that we see more aggression in the attacker. The attacker are more aggressive. They want more money. They want it fast. They attack. In the past we saw in ransomware where they encrypt and store information. Now they are threatening to approach your client, threatening to approach regulators, and trying to get more money and faster. So I think those are the two main issues that we saw in 2025, and we need to be more prepared for those kind of attacks.
It's very interesting what you're saying, I think, because I'm right now in the UK and I met with several insurance companies recently, just the last couple of days, and they handled thousands of crises globally. And I think that what I get from them is also what you and what Yaniv are saying together. I think this is something that, unlike the attacks we see in 2025, there's a complexity of crises, and the majority of them, and also how many of them are happening around the world. There's no specific locations right now. There are so many conflicts around the world, and I think organizations that attack companies by cyber from financial interests or financial motivations or destruction motivations, there are many conflicts, geolocation conflicts right now around the world that I think it's also contribute to see these kind of attacks. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I agree. And we see, as you say, we start seeing, I take Salesforce as an example. They attack one company and the effects major for thousands of companies. And you need your lawyers to assist you, and you need your cyber company to assist you. You're seeing so many incidents around the world that start from one company, and the effect is, sometimes the attack is financial motivated, sometimes the attack is state motivated, geopolitical. We see many attacks in the last 2 years or so, and you need to be prepared for it, and you need to prepare your company in advance for this kind of attacks.
That's definitely, but that's the preparedness level is very important, and that's drives me into my next question. My next question involves the state level attacker dimension. Okay, how is it influenced in 2025 the risks and the perception and the way of the organization cope with cyber incidents that involving state level attacker? Eric, do you have maybe some insights from Canada about these issues?
Yes, what we can notice here in Canada is that actually some insurance in Canada, cyber insurance, starting to put fine prints on their contract. Reason being that the number of claims are far superior to the premiums they can collect from their customers. So what are those fine prints? Part of the fine prints is saying now, if the attacker, the cyber attacker, is coming from certain countries or state-backed countries, we will not pay you. That's becoming exclusion, which is really annoying because, as you know, when we attack, you don't know when we attack, and it's aiming a country like Korea, and just showing that there is a dramatic increase of those attacks.
Yes,
with a lot of damages.
Lavinia, did you see any state level attacks in 2025 in Italy?
I think in Italy we are targeted by DDoS attack. So it's mostly against public administration, like port authorities, airports, or police, postal police. So all what is public administration, and it is mainly political. So it's about propaganda.
Amazing. I mean, you know what? That's using a DDoS attack as a part of a tool of war, I would say, a tool of war, starting to create something, kind of a movement or an interest or a motivation for an attack group to create something like that. I think it's something relatively new. I mean, we've seen DDoS attack, but for this motivation, I think it's something
it's something
relatively
new. It's merely political. Because at the end, the outage of the server, of the web server, is limited to a few hours. So the damage is limited, but it's a message, let's say, to show who has the power.
And Yaniv, as a fintech company, do you see any different risk from, state level attackers, or do you consider this risk as something, that you would put in the same line with any other attack groups in the world?
I think that state level attack is more relevant to enterprise companies as well as government companies. For example, here in Israel, or I think that it's relevant to in other states. If you are a very big company or company that connected directly or indirectly to the state level attack is more relevant. But if you are not so big, in the medium level, I think that it's less relevant. When maybe it is, yes, it is relevant. Maybe the attack today, if in the past just a huge attacker or attacker with a lot of money and resource could make a very big damage, today with the AI and the other method, also 1% or 5% can make a lot of damage, not like a state, like North Korea, etc., but also can make a lot of damage, relevant damage. But if you are not enterprise, or if you are not a government company or connected directly, indirectly to the state, I think it is less relevant.
And Sam, we saw in Code Blue this year, not only state level attackers affecting clients in Israel, but we saw it also across the world. We've seen the attack on the Iberian Peninsula electricity grid this year. Was a signal from probably Russia, we might say. I want to show the European Union, this is what we can do. We've seen state level attacks, of course, in Israel and in other locations. And don't forget, I think it's also normally comes as a part of a conflict or a first attack by a conflict. Tomy, does the insurance consider this risk from a state level attacker point of view different than from other attackers?
It does in a way, okay, because the policy has war exclusion, but not every state attack is a war exclusion. So we have seen in the last 2.5 years many state attack involving damage. The main cause of business of them is just cause us damages from wiping to propaganda to DDoS, and the goal is just to cause damage, to show that they cause damage. But none of those incidents is coming to the war exclusion. So it can be a state attack, but it doesn't have to be that the war exclusion will come into a place. So in those cases, that what we saw, the insurance came in force and pay for all the damages the company had.
This is really yes, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, on that note, there was a new attack in Canada last year. It was the propaganda. We don't know if it's activist or it was backed by state like Iran, but then there's 3 airports in about a few weeks that the system for the passengers, we know where at the airport where the gates and the plane was hijacked, and it was political pro-Palestinians messages on those screens. The impact was propaganda, but also delaying the operations of the airport, which is quite a lot of money that damages more than that. But there was this. It was, for me to understand, it's a new type. There's nothing it's the first time that these 3 main airports were targeted in a few weeks.
I mean, aviation, people who knows me knows I come from an aviation security background, and this is a new way of, I would say, attacking aviation, but not only aviation. We have clients that are they own like, or they're managing a huge arenas like for sports games or concerts. And imagine if somebody is creating an attack, it's not really a cyber attack per excellence, it's not really attacking the network. But as you said, imagine you put something on a football field in the middle of a match saying, there's a bomb in the stadium. What kind of panic it creates? People will start running, probably people will injured, or somebody may die because of crowdness, or about people running or trying to escape and running over each other. This is a huge crisis as well. Also in airports, I mean, would you go on an airport on a flight when you see on the screen somebody saying there's a bomb on your plane? Even if it's just as a propaganda, it can damage an operation. It can provide, companies the ability to cancel flights or to people not to fly anymore. It creates chaos and creates panic. It creates fear. So we can see the cyber attack, and especially, don't forget, the state level attackers, most of the time, they will try to attack your critical infrastructure. But the thing is, if they cannot, they'll just go for the next thing. And the next thing is the easiest thing they can find. And I think on the preparedness level, organizations, and regardless to what kind of sector you're in, you need to think on a state level attacker as a disruptive of operation, something like that. It can be a football club, you can be an airport, you can be a flight, an airline, you can be any kind of company. If that attack can create something that reputationally can damage your company, it's also considered as a cyber attack. And the preparedness level that you need to address is much more deeper. And I think that brings me up to the next question of the preparedness gaps, because we know that in order to run a successful crisis and recover fast with minimum damages and a short time, you need to be prepared. You need to have certain preparedness procedures in place and practice them and so on. But in which aspect of cyber crisis preparedness do you see the most significant gaps? I mean, beyond technology, not only implementing security and stuff like that, but what do you think that will add or need to be done for preparedness in 2026, Lavinia?
Yeah, maybe I can take this one. That suits also a lot Europe and Italy, because as you know, we have NIS2 regulation in Europe, and in Italy is in force. So we are ahead, let's say, of most of the countries. And the NIS2 is about risk management. It's not about IT security. And this is really the view of Code Blue. Because when we are running our preparedness assessment, we, let's say, assess multiple areas, not only the technological, but also the organizational, the corporate governance, the business continuity, the financial resilience, and the communication, and the legal area. So nowadays, what we find out is that the gaps are no longer in the technology, because companies are equipped with lots of defensive tools or preventive tools. They have XDR, whatever, but they often lack clear governance, they lack policies, and also crisis playbooks. So we believe that in an integrated model, the cyber risk management should go beyond technology, and it's really about governance, coordination, and readiness every day. So when the service continuity is at risk, then the cybersecurity is not a technical issue, but it's a strategic topic. So maybe a crisis starts in the IT, in the network, but soon becomes a business issue that is effective, sometimes the service continuity of the company. And what the NIS2 is also aiming at is at having the board of directors to take the ownership of the priorities, of the funding, and of the definition of the risk tolerance. So this is a key nowadays, and it's very important, as you said, to go beyond technology.
Okay, so the gaps mainly, I would say, the soft tissue, not technology. It should be able to look at the cyber crisis as a continuity, as a business continuity subject, and the regulation is now following it up and start closing the gaps. And what you're saying is that organizations really need to take care right now. If they didn't do it until now it's a good timing. Yaniv, as a fintech company that works around the world, do you see regulation as an accelerator of modifications like that?
I think the regulation give you a lot of motivation to be good, because you don't want to be with a gap during an event or after an event with relevant regulation. But regarding your original questions regarding the main gap, regarding the main non-technological gap, I think, for example, in my perspective, we are an online company, a fintech company. Everyone know what is the problem in production. Everyone know what is BCP and DRP. But when you are talking about an IR incident, a wide and huge incident, it is very complicated, because it is easy to write manual, but it is very hard to implement it in the company. Why? Senior leaders in the company has a lot of business experience, but they not every time have an operational experience. Also, the professional managers inside the company know exactly their roles. But when we are talking about IR incident, I think every IR manager have a little bit afraid to be in the situation, because he cannot trust just himself. He need the cooperation with all the professional managers. This is our main non-tech gap. Also, the training. I think we can train ourselves, for example, a yearly management IR drill. We can do the relevant hand check with you, with Codeblue, with the IR. But most of the time, the companies doesn't have time. You cannot invest the time that you would like to invest with all those plans to implement it, to test it. This is my main soft gaps, as you mentioned, training and experience.
Okay, and that drives the second issue is coordination and connecting the roles. And I would, as a crisis manager, I always ask, what must be coordinated in advance or practiced in advance, or has the issues in advance between, for example, CISOs, executive leadership, and crisis management teams in order to handle a cyber incident effectively. Tomy, as a crisis manager for Howden, as an event, what do you see how important is it to prepare this coordination in advance?
It's very important. I think that companies needs to start to understand that cyber event is a wide effect, has a wide effect on the company. Everybody needs to get involved. And we, from the beginning, from before, in the preparation, we need to understand what to make the decision ownership. What are the legal points? What are the IT points? The CEO, who will manage the event? We usually do, when we sell insurance to the companies, we do onboarding call with them. We explain the process. We need to get all the people right to get involved. We need to know that legal will have effect here, PR will have effect, insurance will have effect, IT, cyber companies, negotiator if needed, HR will have effect. Everybody needs to know and understand that once they have a cyber incident, they will need to sit in the room and make all the right decision and give their point of view. And I go back to what Yaniv said. The companies need to understand that they need to make the time to prepare to a cyber event. Cyber event can affect dramatically on the company, and they need to prepare. And legal teams have to prepare and know what the regulatory decision are and who they need to report at customers and clients and regulators. And IT needs to understand what is our system and where do we see point that are difficult points and important points, and when we keep the information. PR, what kind of information and how we're going to report it, and so on. So we need to be prepared in advance for all of this. It's not companies need to understand cyber. It's not IT. It's not only CISO. It's everybody. It's going to affect everybody. Everybody. Once you have big, when we know it, we saw so many incidents together. Once you have an incident, every important role in the company, from HR to CEO to CFO to legal, will sit for a few days, and all they're going to do is to handle the cyber incident. They have to put all the things aside and to handle it to overcome this crisis. So I think the most important thing is to prepare and understand that the different roles, the different aspects of cyber that many people in the company will be involved, and prepare them in advance for it.
Exactly. And I think we're talking about, hundreds of decisions made every day, and under uncertainty and environment, you don't know what's going to happen next, what is the situation, where does it leads to. And in this uncertainty environment, I would like to ask, what are the core principles that helps decision makers to make the right calls during a cyber incident, even when the full picture is unknown? Eric, maybe you have some insights about that. I mean, we've done maybe a short incident now, but you've seen a lot of organizations and seen it in the past before, and you went through our cyber crisis management course and experienced a lot of crises. What are your insights about that?
I think there's a few things, couple of things. As a CEO or as a C-suite, you don't want to experience your first cyber crisis for real. You prefer to go those emotions waves to this discussion. You prefer to do that through a drill than being the deer in the headlights of a real crisis, facing decisions and threat that you never thought that was possible. And I think that's the one of the main, talking about gaps and lesson learned. As practitioners, we need, part of our mission is to make those executives being aware that when a cyber crisis is coming, is not an IT problem, is not governance issues or legislative issues. It can be a business issues, and the stakes can be very high. So you don't want to experience a real crisis as your first your first stab on it. You want to drill, to be prepared. That's one. And probably the second thing is that when these crises is happening, regardless of your level of preparation, regardless of the quality of your CISO or of your internal procedures, when the stakes are high, you want to have with you, taking your hand, people that done that many times. You want the best possible people at your side, so to help you making the right decisions.
That's, these are definitely strong insights. Yaniv, do you have like a set of principles that you utilize or you use during tabletop exercises, but also in place for the right time in order to help you take decisions?
Yes. First of all, very important comment is that the crisis scenario should be managed by one person, a commander. It's not a Senate, it's not a Congress. During the incident, should be one commander that handle all the relevant functions. I think it's very important to remember. In our company, we have each person, each role, a dedicated plan that the relevant functions, if it's a business functions, if it's a tech functions, know exactly what he should do in a keep it simple way. Everything is written. For example, there is no knowledge that haven't been written. Everything is inside the relevant plan to the relevant scenario. For example, we have a scenario for DDoS, also for data leakage, also for ransomware, and theoretically, every person, and also we are testing it, know exactly or should know exactly what you should do. And another comment regarding that is during an IA incident, there is a lot of noise, and there are a lot of members internally inside the company and externally outside the company, and also business level and high rank persons inside the company, also lawyers outside the company, of course, the IR management, and it's very important to see that the noise is not too much, that we are handling the incident in an effective way.
Understood. And I think that was good for 2025. And Lavinia, I want to ask you, what doesn't fit anymore? If we're looking for the future, 2026, which approach or mindset in cyber incident management is becoming less relevant in reality of 2026?
Yes, I think it's to treat the cyber incident as an IT-only issue. If we limit ourselves to IT, to the network, probably the chaos is going to prevail. So we need to look at the incident, as I said before, as a business crisis for the company involving all the functions. So the mindset should change and the functions should be brought together. And we should create a common language across all the functions. And only in this way we can transform the reaction, so the reactive mode that prevails before, into a coordination. So risk management must really become a corporate culture. And in 2026, I think everybody must realize that the real enemy is not a ransomware, it's not a malware, because you can face it, but the mindset should be improve the organization. So my enemy is disorganization. So we are facing really a cultural shift. This year, we should move towards this approach that in Code Blue we call resilience every day, because you build your resilience every day and not only the day of the attack. So the cyber risk cannot be eliminated, but our mindset should be, I have to anticipate, I have to orchestrate and to govern it.
Good, Tomy, do you think that the insurance companies are seeing resilience as a more the next step? I mean, if in 2024, 2025, 2023 even, the standard or the baseline was security, protection, implementation, and so on. Do you think that the insurance companies now leaning towards also being proactive, doing resilience preparedness before that would actually something that they look for in a client?
So they do look at some have their own proactive approach, some insurance, and but we from Howden, we do have those proactive approach. We don't just sell you the insurance, that's the paper. We want you to be prepared. We do onboarding calls we'll do with you. We'll help you prepare in the terms of the vendor, understand what the vendors who are going to assist you in the incident. We are going to participate in, we urge you to do an exercise, tabletop exercise to your management, and we will participate in those. So we want to understand that, you know, attack will happen. Okay, I think that today everybody can understand that attack will happen, and we need to be prepared for it. We will, as Lavinia said, we will deal with the malware, we will deal with the ransom, we will pay for it, but we need to be able to lower our damages and lower our damages to be well prepared for it. And as we spoke, we want to know that it's not the IT matter, it's not the system matter, it's the whole organization. And if the organization will be prepared, the damage will be lower. It's not that they're not going to affect, they're going to have effects, they're going to have a lot of stress. But once they are prepared, once they know what each one has their role, what is the decision maker, the CEO is making all the decision, but what the legal advice, what is the PR advice, and everything needs to be prepared in order to lower the damages. So I think the main goal is, you know, be prepared. We'll have to be prepared, but, you know, try to be more prepared for the incident that will definitely come.
I hear that. I hear it from you. I hear it from Lavinia, from Yaniv, of course, from Eric. You know, preparedness is a very important thing. I think during crisis, we have so many decisions that needs to be taken, and I think that what I see, also talk to the insurance companies this week in the UK, which is very important and was very enlightened for me, that, for example, tooling. If you have a tool that can help you take these decisions, make this decision, at least prioritize it, and let you know there's some things that are underneath and undercover because of all the noise around it. And you have to have something that will assist you take the right decisions or be more focused on what needs to be done. And I think, you know, for as far as our perspective in 2026, Code Blue sees a lot of when we're shooting or looking at the future of 2026. So that's why our Blue Castle, the product that we use for the last 2 years internally, is definitely something that clients would start using in 2026, especially Code Blue clients will have access to it. And I think that what we see now when we demonstrate the capabilities to insurance companies, to law firms around the world, and of course to clients, we see the benefits of using this kind of tool as it becomes very, very complex to manage cyber crisis, of course, with AI issues and so on. Now, one last question before we open the board for our audience to ask questions. I want to ask each and every one of you, what is the one practical step an organization should take now to improve their ability to handle cyber crisis? If you can give one recommendation, one suggestion to a crisis manager or to a CISO in an organization, what would it be? Yaniv, let's start with you.
I will take a sentence from the compliance of the information security world is to be in continued improvement. It's a never-ending story.
Wow.
And
wow.
it's a very great work. It is very hard work to implement between all the relevant functions, to implement and to manage all the relevant members that most of them are non-familiar with IR, with security, with information security, with incident or with this area. And it's an ongoing task. And if you would like to improve yourself, do a lot and not stop doing.
Okay, so constant preparedness and constant pushing forward. Lavinia, what is the one suggestion you would tell organizations?
To test. Because we spoke about having running a gap assessment, having policies, clear frameworks, and everything is fantastic, but it's not going to save you at day zero of the crisis. So if your plan is not tested, you are not really managing the risk. So I believe that every plan must be stress test. So the suggestion is to run cyber crisis simulations at every level and especially at top management level.
Eric, what is your contribution?
I would say this, it's a mindset. Put yourself, forget about the level of protection you have or you would like to have in your organization from cyber point of view, and put yourself in a mindset where you, regardless of the level of protection, you have been breached. And then make yourself think what would happen, what are bad things can happen to your business. Put yourself in that mindset as an executive, and there's probably will lead a lot of questions, a lot of fears that you would like to have some answer, some discussion about.
Tomy.
So I think it's all depend on how quickly the leadership.
Only one, Tomy, only one. Only
one small and I think it's how quickly the leadership can align and decide and make the right decision. And for that, we need define upfront the decision makers before we have an incident. So that's in one line.
Amazing. Okay, so before I summarize this webinar, I would like to ask the audience if somebody has any questions for this panel. Please go ahead, just introduce yourself before so we know who is talking. And the mic is open, Anna, right? Anna?
Yes, in the chat, Nir. Only in the chat.
So only in the chat. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, given the increasing complexity of cyber threats and integration of all of AI in attacks, what's the new strategies or technologies do you believe organizations should prioritize in 2026 to enhance their cyber crisis detection and response capability? Wow. We need a whole webinar just for that. But to say or to put everything that we learned in this webinar or the discussions of what we had now, we understand that it's an entirely complex situation, okay? And I think that starting with training tools and of course with intelligence capabilities, and I think also if you have a chance to have a tool like the Blue Castle that helps you not only manage your resilience every day, but also during crisis, I think this is a great approach. Yaniv, do you have maybe another answer?
No, I think that you answer well.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I think we've been very thorough. I don't see any other questions are coming. So I want to thank, first of all, to the audience. Thank you very much for taking the time. I know that take an hour during the day, it's not something to take lightly. So thank you very much for participating and join us for additional webinars by Code Blue. And thank you for the great panel I had today, Yaniv, Lavinia, Eric, and Tomy. Really appreciate you taking the time and answer these tough questions. And see you the next time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao, bye-bye.